Hi everyone, this is Martha. I'm a relationship counselor and clinical sexologist. In this part 2 of 4 video, I'm going to continue to ask Rani Deshani, the founder and owner of the Curve Cow, that actually is a fashion brand in Singapore and beyond that caters to plus size people. And through her passion and her work, she's actually created a community of women. So in this video, we want to talk about fat acceptance. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what is fat acceptance and why it's important to have fat acceptance.
Okay, so there are lots of parts of it, and I don't think I can fully summarize it. But let me just start with my journey so it's a bit easier to understand. I knew that I wanted to do something with the plus size fashion industry, but I also knew that even though it's a niche, I knew that I needed to have a specific reason to have one more fashion store in the mix, right? Because we have a million stores all over the world in Singapore. Like we have a million stores. So I just wanted to know like what was so interesting about my brand, or I wanted to find like what would make me really passionate. And that's when I was like Googling, researching, and I chanced upon this concept. At that time, it was called body positivity. It still is, it's very whitewashed right now. But the concept of body positivity was loving your body and accepting your body the way it is. And that was mind blowing for me because for the first time, I saw plus size women, fat women who looked like me, of course, in the Western parts of the world because it's not popular in Asia or in Singapore. Um, and they looked like me, they were wearing really beautiful clothes, and they were like just unapologetically living their lives. And I was just like, oh my God. It was just like I have never seen so many women who look like me because the women on TV are beautiful, but they don't look anything like me, not skin color wise, not body shape wise. Like, they just don't look like me. And till that moment, I didn't know the power of representation because the minute I saw someone who looked like me on screen, I felt an immediate connection. And I was like, oh my God, that's literally what I've been missing. And that's literally what the world's been missing out on, right? And so that's how I discovered body positivity. And I knew that that had to be the foundation upon which my clothing brand, the Curve Cult, was going to be built upon. Um, and I reached out to like a lot of bloggers. I've made friends with a lot of them. Some of them are like my really good friends right now. And it was just, I would say it was life changing for me to look at my body exactly the way it is and understand it, appreciate it, and accept it for whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying that this happened overnight. I'm not saying I woke up one morning and I was just like, okay, I love myself, everything is great. It's not like that. It can't be like that because, we have had years of conditioning telling us that fat is bad, that our bodies have to look better, that our bodies have to be slimmer, that we have to be fairer. And definitely that's not going to change overnight. But I think what changed was me starting to go inwards and ask myself how I actually felt about my body. Like that was a 360 shift because it was always about how the society viewed me or the how the society measured me against beauty standards. But when I took down the beauty standards and when I realized that actually they don't hold value for me, what do I feel about my body? And the thing about body positivity that I feel like I didn't understand at the beginning was it's not accessible for everyone to come from a place of I like my body or I accept my body because there are, I think for as a plus size person, I am still more conventionally beautiful because I have an hourglass figure. I have like luscious hair, I have more conventionally beautiful features. But there are people who don't look the way I look. They are darker skinned, they have different features, they are probably much bigger than I am. Some of them are disabled. So it's not possible for everyone to love their body or accept their body when they feel like everything is wrong with their body. So that's why I think it became a shift from body positivity to accepting, and even with acceptance, a lot of people are more comfortable with um, being neutral about their body, like ignoring their body altogether. But even that is not accessible for everyone. So I think over the years, what I've actually come to realize is however we choose to exist with our bodies, I think we need to hold space for ourselves. We need to honor the journey that we have with ourselves. And only then we can do that with the people around us. Because all these people that we've heard all our lives telling us crap about our bodies, telling us crap about how we look, it's probably because they haven't reconciled their relationship with their bodies. And the minute I understood that, they couldn't hold any power over me. So I get this from customers all the time, like, do you not go to parties and do people not tell you like, oh, you look so fat? And I'm like, actually, I don't think they say it. And then I realized, okay, maybe they do, and it doesn't register in my mind at all, because I have totally understood where they're coming from. They're coming from a place of absolute hatred sometimes, insecurity, and just a lot of unhappiness with how they feel about their bodies. And until they decide to do something about that, they are never going to be okay to look at somebody else's body and say anything nice about it. So for me, like the moment I realized that it was their insecurities and it didn't hold power over me, it just sort of cut a cord, and it was very powerful. And that's why I always say that with fat acceptance, and I think also, so it became understanding my body, accepting my body, realizing that people didn't have power over me. And then it became fat liberation, which is, hey, like I said, I have privilege because I look a different way compared to other fat folk. But there are people who don't look the same way as me. They have intersections, right? So it's not just fat. You can be fat and you can be brown. Like I'm fat and brown. You can be fat, you can be brown, and you can be queer. Or you can be fat, brown, queer, and disabled, which is like, there are ranks, and in society you are lower ranked because you have all these odds stacked against you. So their experience in life is very different from my experience. And I realized that I was very passionate about advocating for their rights, because let's take beauty out of the equation, right? Because we don't exist to be beautiful, but we all deserve to be treated equally, no matter where we come from, no matter how we look like. And that's not accessible for people like that. Especially like in our communities and society, the minute you are not straight, you don't have the same rights as a person who is straight. The minute you are disabled, life is not going to be the same way for you anymore. So can you imagine if you're disabled and queer and fat? There's so many things that um, aren't the same for these people, and I feel like I'm especially passionate to be a voice for marginalized bodies, especially um, whether they choose to want to accept themselves. But just on a liberation front, I think it's important to make other people aware. So that's why I always say body positivity is super whitewashed. Like when a straight size person comes to me and says like, oh, I get what you mean, like, you're telling me to love my body, and I'll say, yeah, sure, love your body, but understand that you have privilege and not everybody can love their body. And this movement was created especially for marginalized folk, especially. So in the past, this whole movement started because of Black folk, because of brown folk, because of queer folk. And we need to remember that every time we talk about body positivity. It's not just about loving your body, it's also about speaking for the people who haven't or who don't have a voice as loud as us. Yeah, so all these things are like super passionate, and I throw it into aspects of my business. We do a lot of like fundraising for communities we really, really believe in. Last year we did something for Black Lives Matter causes. This year we plan to do something for the queer communities. So it's something that I really try to incorporate, because I feel like education is so necessary to allow people to understand. You can say that you don't have resources, so I will give you the resources so that you understand and you join me in this fight. Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's really beyond fat acceptance and into fat liberation, and it's also about understanding the history of the term, and really being able to appreciate the intersections of challenges that people experience. Um, so so in the advocacy work that you do, besides social media and panels, is there any other like plans or works in the planning?
So it's a bit hush hush right now, but I really want to um, be able to work with and sort of be able to give back monetarily as well to like fat creators, Black, brown creators, business women, just to be able to work with them as well in a way that benefits both of us, because I always believe that when we have an exchange of resources, both parties are going to be able to gain. So it'll be a dream to be able to work with a lot of these people and to build the business further.
Wow, that's really, really awesome. Yeah, so can you suggest like something that people can begin with, like maybe a small exercise, because it's still like a bit maybe abstract for some people?
Yeah. For me, I always say this, like we all are different types of learners. So I realized that I am a very like visual learner. So what really helped me was, the first thing to do was to sort of clean up my social media account. So I'm very intentional about the people I follow. So in my feed you will see a lot of like fat people first. There'll be a lot of fat colored people from all over the world who have so much to offer, who have so much to actually teach us, because there's only so much we know, right? And the more we interact with people like that, the more we learn. And if you feel like there are a lot of people who are very fat phobic on your profiles and you don't like the content that they're putting out and it triggers you, then I urge you to, if you can't unfollow them, at least block their account so that you don't view their stories or their posts. Instagram has these functions that are actually helpful for our own mental health. So if you
Yeah.
need to do it, restrict their stories, restrict their posts so that you don't see them appear, because for me, the before and after photos can be really triggering. And there are sometimes where I just don't view them. Like I cannot, again, whatever you want to do to your body, that's on you. But I don't want to consume that kind of information or content, so I will not subscribe to it. So if you can clean up your social media account, because we're all always on our phones, we're always going onto Instagram, and the least we could do is try to make it a little more uplifting for ourselves. So ask yourself, what's the kind of content? Like if you're someone who's really interested in art, follow people who are artists, right? And follow like colored people, who are doing really good work all around the world. And so I think just be a bit more intentional about people that you follow. And the more you look at their content and the more you read the stuff that's coming from them, it's very easy to start slowly shifting mindsets and perspectives.
Yeah, that's a very, very good suggestion. I definitely agree on that, because we can advocate with our money, who we buy from. We can also support with our social media, and all these little things do add up, and they support us to become the person that we want to be. So I really love this. So we're going to pause and we're going to go on to video number 3, where we're going to be talking about dating.
Yeah.